All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. Thank you for coming to join us today. So we're going to start off now. So today's goal is to make sure you leave this webinar knowing how you can use your data to create a personalized experience with your customers and, of course, to increase your conversion. So what we'll do here is have our speakers show you how they have been successful doing that using data and personalization in their marketing efforts. Then we'll have a Q&A session at the end to answer any questions for you. I'm going to hide the chat for now, but please chat your questions during the webinar and I'll collect them to make sure our speakers can answer them for you at the end. Now, just a few quick introductions here. Retention Science is an AI-powered marketing platform helping you truly connect with your customers. We're located here in Santa Monica. We work with some of the world's best brands like Olay, Draper James, Unilever, of course, FIGS, and many more. FIGS is a very successful premium medical apparel company here in Los Angeles, providing modern and functional medical apparel worldwide. I'm Michael Chang, the marketing manager here at Retention Science, and I'll be the moderator today. And now I'll pass it over to Alex and wait for an introduction.
Thanks, Michael. So like Michael said, my name is Wei. I am a client success manager here at Retention Science. And I've been working with Alex and FIGS for a better part of a year and a half now. And it's been a great opportunity working with Alex and kind of seeing FIGS grow.
All right. What's up, everybody? How's it going? I'm Alex Shearing. I'm the VP of Marketing from FIGS. I've been doing digital marketing for a little bit over 10 years, with a primary focus on growth and acquisition. Love that we're doing this. Really excited to share some of the great stuff that we do on the retention side. So yeah, let's do this.
All right. So we'll just jump right into it. And I'll let kind of Alex explain some of the challenges that FIGS had early on. Again, to everybody on the webinar here, please send all of your questions directly in the chat and we'll collect them for a Q&A session at the end over here. So yeah, Alex, can you tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that FIGS was facing in the past?
Yeah, I think that a lot of these challenges kind of resonate with a lot of e-commerce brands or lead gen brands or anything that's really like top of mind. And what we saw early on is that we were dealing with lower open rates, engagement rates on email were, not where we wanted them to be. We weren't spending enough time really on building different segments and workflows, and really we're relying email on a standardized kind of format. And we were just not getting enough people on our email list. And then beyond that, dormant customers who are not opening emails, customers who are not engaging with emails, or customers who are churned from email. How to really get them to re-engage. So those are some of the things that early on we were having trouble with.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the first topics that we're going to talk about today is how FIGS utilizes data and how personalized data is really key to FIGS' success. So like I was kind of mentioning, I've been working with FIGS for about a year and a half now, and a lot of the time that we've been working together, I've seen really FIGS grow into what they are today. But can you tell us a little bit about what FIGS was doing prior to using Retention Science and what type of data you were collecting and why that wasn't as useful for you guys?
Sure. So prior to Retention Science, we were a very straightforward shop. We collected emails at acquisition, and we were sending out emails when we had something to tell our customers about, predominantly around product releases or just kind of direct messaging, but a very straightforward, non-segmented kind of utilization of our email list. That's kind of where we started, and that's foundational, really important to actually even have email. But from there, we got into a place with Retention Science that we're extremely happy with right now, but we'll kind of talk to that. That's a little foreshadowing for all you folks.
Yeah, definitely. So as of today, I know that there is a lot of data that you guys are collecting on your customers. How does FIGS take advantage of a lot of the personalized information that you're collecting on a lot of your customers?
So I think that what we try to do first and foremost is what we've taken our email level to is really providing relevant content. And through personalization, we've been able to really drive products that people want to see. We've been able to really engage particular customers in their buy cycle. So when they typically come back and buy, when they're ready to buy, that's been a huge success for us. And then stuff as simple as just knowing the gender of our customer and knowing their birthday, which we'll get into in a little bit, has really just increased engagement with emails, open rates with emails, and really pushed towards driving higher open rates, conversion rates, and you know, long term down the pipeline, what we see is like better LTVs, better AOVs. So yeah.
So one of the questions that I actually do get asked from a lot of my clients here is actually they're really scared to want to collect personalized data at the homepage because they're scared that it's going to be an additional barrier for them to sign up and give you guys an email. Has that ever been an issue for FIGS where asking them for their birthday, asking them for their gender, has that ever been an issue in terms of trying to capture more emails?
So I think that obviously each brand is its own, but you know, customers, if you're giving them an option and it's not a required field, you kind of let them dictate whether or not they want to share that with you. But at the end of the day, a customer really wants relevant marketing. And when they see something like, oh, you're asking for my birthday, is that tied to some sort of promotional usage? I mean, if you're going to collect it, you should definitely probably do some sort of birthday stuff around it. But I think that you'll be surprised at the willingness of a customer really wanting to share a little bit about themselves, because you know, if they're engaged with your brand, love your brand, why not tell your story to your brand?
Yeah, definitely. So with all of that data kind of collected, how do you translate that? How do you translate that data into actual marketing campaigns for your email efforts?
Sure. So like on a high level, when we talked about birthday and gender, you know, fairly simple. If it's a birthday, you know, sending out messaging around, hey, it's your birthday. And then incentivizing that to get them to come back. I mean, the value around birthday is really interesting too, because you kind of get a real good idea on an age segment of your audience. And then beyond that, gender, if you're selling products to male or female, really being able to specify within your email campaigns and driving direct emails to females or males, obviously you're going to increase your open rates and conversion rates. That's super super high level, but I mean, and fairly obvious, but that's definitely what the use cases are tied to that.
Yeah, so here are a couple examples of kind of FIGS's emails here during the welcome stage, and I think we have another example here for the birthday stage. I guess tell us a little bit about the thought process here and creating these gender specific or birthday specific type emails. Has that been useful for FIGS in the kind of in the past?
Sure. So I think first and foremost, if you kind of look at the creative that we have here, like we're really proud of this creative. What we try to do is like really bring in a level of brand and a content-driven piece to this. You know, obviously it's welcome messaging. We want them to purchase on our website, but at the same time, we want them to get a feel and an understanding of what our brand is. And then beyond that, you know, welcoming the customer to our pipeline and kind of getting them to engage with this email from a gender level. So you see the men's email and the women's email with a female hero and a male hero. For, like I said, fairly straightforward. But when, you know, originally when we were doing a unisex version of this or just a very general version of this, we saw standard open rates. But what we did when we positioned it to really segment this stuff out is we started to drive higher open rates. I know it's like a little bit of a no-brainer, but at the same time, it's fantastic to see that, you know, something as simple as just gender segmentation just results in very positive results in your pipeline. Same thing goes for the happy birthday. You know, customers love it when you acknowledge them and know that they exist as an individual human being as opposed to some sort of commodity. And so just a birthday messaging, just really the engagement with that email is just fantastic. And it's really, I think it's one of the, from our customer side, one of the things that our customers truly, truly love.
All right. So now taking advantage of kind of the data here using gender and birthday, we kind of see that in some of the email content that we've shared here. Has that kind of been successful? Do you feel like having this type of personalized information, does it make your email campaigns feel a little more personalized to your customers then? And have you heard any good feedback from some of your customers?
Sure. I think that what we try to do, and beyond just the birthday and the gender stuff, is, you know, if we notice a customer is buying a particular type of product or a particular color way regularly all the time, we build segmentation around that. If they're a female, for example, and they tend to buy men's product or vice versa, we kind of have a strong understanding of that, so we know what pipeline they need to be in. Whether they're a customer that buys in 30-day increments, 60-day increments, 90-day increments, 1-year increments, we're pretty good at knowing through segmentation, knowing where they stand in their buy cycle and being in their inbox in those time frames. So really taking advantage of all the data that we collect and bringing that into segmentation and personalization really kind of skews that audience into a place where everything that we sent should feel hyper personalized.
Yeah. So taking it one step a little further here, a lot of the things that we kind of talked about today was additional data that FIGS was collecting on your own. Can you tell us a little bit about how retention sciences data in terms of predicting a user's best send time or being able to predict their items through dynamic product recommendations, how has that kind of helped FIGS in the recent times?
Sure. So, time of day is very important for email. I mean, think about your own personal situation. When do you check your emails? Maybe your personal emails once, twice a day. I know your work emails, you're probably on it all the time. But when it comes to your personal email, are you checking in the morning, in the evening? We see these heat maps come in, and we know that because of retention science smart way of sending, we've been able to see that the open rates really increase when the cadence or the algorithm kind of dictates when the user is going to open them. So that's phenomenal and just a very, very, very nice to have. And then beyond that, when it gets into predictive items, dynamic product kind of recommendations, initially, with our product catalog, we would kind of just build some of this stuff in, and we would manually place items here. What we've seen actually, and this is a more recent win for us, is that really bringing in this dynamic product recommendations. Jerry actually always was like, "Yay, you need to put dynamic product recommendations in everything." We're like, "Okay, we got it." And we had it in our browse abandoned stages and our abandoned cart stages because those made sense. But what we've done in the more recent past is that we've brought these dynamic product recommendations to various stages in our drip flow. And from a conversion standpoint and a click-through standpoint, we've just seen really, really solid wins here, because now we're serving relevant products to users that engaged with these products previously on our site, or never really came to our site. We collected their email, but we know that these are our top sellers for this particular segment. And so just kind of showing those items to those customers. So huge wins for there.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks a lot for kind of diving into a little more detail on that part. So the next topic that we kind of want to tackle here is, discuss a little bit about how FIGS uses product tags and also segmentation to power certain email campaigns when you're trying to push a new category or a new launch. But before we jump into what FIGS is doing today, tell us a little bit about what FIGS did in the past in terms of creating segmentation. Was there any sort of segmentation created? Did you ever use user interactions with those segments for marketing purposes?
Yeah, I think that from the get-go, segmentation is such a buzzword in the marketing community. We always wanted to be on the tip of that, but what does that truly mean? So from a high level, knowing a customer is a purchaser versus a customer who's never purchased, I mean, those are easy segments and just straightforward segments that we had built into what we were doing. But as we became more advanced and we started collecting more first-party data or zero-party data, we've really kind of elevated our game and really kind of changed the dynamic of it, and really taken the ability to collect multiple data points, whether it's just site behavior or user behavior, and then tying that back to an email, or how they interact with emails, or just the straightforward information that we're collecting about people. That's the evolution of where we've come to with utilizing the segmentation.
Yeah, definitely. So, like I said, having worked with you, I've seen a lot of the creative segments that you guys have started using in terms of finding the best people for the best products. What led you to create those type of segments, and how has that kind of helped FIGS recently?
Sure. So, what we're always trying to do is, like I said, we think brand first and really kind of execute on elevating what our messaging is to keep the customer engaged, first and foremost. And then secondly, well, maybe that wasn't first. Maybe firstly is conversion, but very up there and evenly, we definitely love to drive conversion. And so we're always looking for sending the most relevant content to individual users. Like I mentioned earlier, I only buy navy blue scrubs. Why would we send an email with, purple scrubs to you if that's all you send, or that's all you purchase? So really getting into that buyer behavior directly is so huge for us and kind of underappreciated. Beyond that, when we're really looking to drive a person to engage, it just makes sense to really kind of bring everything back to what they're sharing about themselves. If they're telling us one thing, why would we do something else? And so, we do things like, on a very, very, very detailed level, we'll build audiences around particular lifetime values, or really engage with customers that we internally create parameters around that we think are high value to us or extremely loyal to us is a better description of that. If we deem that person an extremely loyal customer to our customer base and them getting a personalized email that, gives them something nice to do on our website, a free item, some sort of touch point that's beyond a regular engagement, that's high value, and it's kind of a nice to see from the customer base. And as we kind of grow, we're looking for longevity. We want to continue to drive the business. We want to continue to grow the business, and we're not really looking for one and done. So, we're looking for the long-term play here. And so if we can continue to not be overly aggressive with our emails and continue to bring relevant content that's still driving a customer to purchase, that's always the end goal.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the questions that I get asked quite a bit is, whenever a company wants to launch a new product or they want to push a specific line of products, they don't really know what to do there. They kind of just do a generic blast to everybody out on their list. FIGS takes a really different approach here, where you actually use personalized engagement data based on what these users are looking at on their site to your advantage. So could you tell me a little bit about how you guys came up with that and how that's been useful for you in terms of targeting very specific types of people based on engagement to very specific products?
Right. So I think the example that you're sharing on the screen is relevant to our compression socks, a great product for us, a high seller. And we know that there's a ton of people hitting our website on a daily basis. Utilizing our tracking, we're able to see items that are interacted with, and we see this across all our products. And really taking that advantage of that. If you've interacted with a product but never purchased it, that means there's intent there. And we're always in a game where we want to really work with the highest intent customers. I'm not saying that there's no value in marketing compression socks in this example to our entire user base, which we do elsewhere, but really having a purchase-driven email with an intent-driven audience that's interactive with a particular product on your site makes the most sense. And so when we do this, the segments tend to be a little bit smaller, but what we see is huge open rates and just really strong conversion rates and product interaction. And so I think it's really important in this day and age, whether you're doing email retention or advertising elsewhere, that you're delivering highly relevant content to your entire user base, so that way the engagement level is high, and you're just going to be that much more successful with conversion.
So one of the things that we get a lot is, well, isn't it always better to just email everybody if rather than segmenting them out? Because at the end of the day, if the more emails I send out, the more revenue I'm going to generate, essentially, right? Despite having lower engagement rates. I should just email everybody on my list. But the way FIGS is kind of doing it is a little bit different. Can you tell me a little bit about kind of like the pros and cons of doing it the way you guys do versus the idea of just blasting everybody?
Sure. So I'm definitely not opposed to blasting the entire list. I think that there's value in that in certain scenarios. I think for the most part, what we try to accomplish is not over abusing our list, if you will. So if we release 3 different products in 1 week, that means that we're going to drop an email 3 different times to our entire user base. I think that what ends up happening in the long term is that you risk exhausting your list a little bit. So keeping it relevant is the main thing. So like I mentioned, we're just really driven towards driving. I like that. We're just really in a position where we want to keep the customers highly engaged. So if it's a product that they're used to, or if we know they're a doctor and we're doing a lab coat, just taking that particular audience and just driving lab coat sales. And not that other medical professions don't wear lab coats. A lot of other ones do, but just for example, just really creating those dynamic segments is so crucial to us. On the other side of things, if we're gonna do something large scale and drop to our entire list, we like that to be completely relevant to the entire list. So whether it's a promotion or a product that we really feel strongly that everybody is gonna really engage with, we will definitely kind of send that out to our entire list. Another thing that we do just for relevancy is that we know that customers who bought recently, their propensity to buy again within 1 week is fairly low. So taking those types of people out of an email that's going out to a larger segment, it's just like a simple thing where it's like, hey, I just bought this. Why are you sending me more emails to get me to buy more things? It's not necessarily it's not a good look for the company at all times. So we just want to be considerate. And what we've seen from kind of taking this approach is that our dormant customers in our email list has really subsided substantially. So it's really interesting to see how the user kind of behaves based on building this into the workflow.
Yeah, and I think when you kind of mentioned the dormant customer side, that's something that we'll dive into in a little more detail, because I think a lot of people out there are really wondering what type of content is best for those dormant customers. So sure. Yeah, we'll jump into that in a little bit here. So I guess to wrap up this section here, just a high level, tell us a little bit about the benefits of product tags and just being able to personalize even deeper with segmentation and recommendations.
Sure. Yeah, I think that what we want to do is really identify where the users are. I mean, Retention Science does a really great job of this. At first, when I started working with Retention Science, a little hesitant to really trust it. But what we've seen is that between our high intent users, low intent users, people who are ready to buy, people who are just welcomed into the series, people who are discount only purchasers, stuff like that, Retention Science is able to help us really create these direct segments and these email flows in our drip that just really automates the delivery of content that really speaks to the community. We load up each of our drip segments with a variety of emails, and a given segment can have up to 10 or 15 emails in a segment. And constantly rotating through those and kind of getting them out to the customer or prospect in this case when it speaks to them the most has just been it's very relevant, and that's the main goal here.
All right. So now moving on to kind of our last topic here, nurturing customers to re-engage with your brand. And this is, I feel like this is a very important topic for pretty much any e-commerce brand out there, knowing that a e-commerce brand's kind of mailing list, there is going to be a very large amount of dormant customers in there. So I think a lot of people out there want to know, what does FIGS do to re-engage them and try to win some of these people back? Before we jump into what you guys are doing today, can you tell us a little bit about what FIGS did in the past for these dormant customers, if anything?
Sure. So a little bit backstory about me. I know I talked about brand a little bit earlier, but I'm a very direct response focused kind of person. I've come from that space, and I'm really, for lack of a better word, an aggressive marketer. And so initially, nurturing seemed like a waste of time, and it's just like, if we have stuff to buy, let's push it. And what's the point of engaging with our list? We just want to kind of churn and burn. It's like, let's get them to buy, move on to the next group, get them to buy, move on to the next group. A very short-sighted approach. I know I talked towards long-term value earlier, but a very short-sighted approach. Since working with FIGS, like the evolution of bringing direct response and brand together, I think that in the last 2 years has advanced so much. Bringing it together and actually creating the essentials of a brand has really kind of taken precedence over everything, and that's kind of the direction that we've been heading in.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things that I see you do really, really well is utilizing one of our dormant stages, where we essentially already pre-bucket everybody who we consider as dormant for you, and you guys have really pushed those users quite hard, and seems to be really, really successful for FIGS. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're nurturing some of these dormant customers into becoming a little more engaged?
Sure. So with dormant users, I mean, they could be churned, or they could just like not ever open an email. But what we've really tried to do here is like build content-driven emails where we talk about how great our scrubs are, all the cool philanthropic missions that we're a part of, just really delivering content that's engaging and still product focused to a certain extent, to kind of bring into the picture some fun, some playfulness, but at the same time show the gamut of the products that we do have to offer. I think it's actually been quite large. Like I said, is a segment that we didn't really focus that much attention on, and the last 12 months or so, we've kind of opened up this stage, and what we've seen is that we've been able to win back customers at such a successful rate that it only makes sense to do something like this. It's somewhat of a no-brainer, but really great. I think we have some examples of the emails that we use. You can kind of see some of this fun stuff. 10 reasons why our super soft underscrub are 100% awesome. Take this pant quiz. Are you a Kanye or a Clooney? Just a little bit of fun, engaging. Even if we don't see high click-through rates in these emails, with their subject lines, we'll tend to see good open rates. And then what we'll see is that these customers in these stages will just get moved out of these stages, within a short period of time. So fun, beautiful, and just highly engaging content.
So I know one of the things that we really want to push here is, I think a common misconception of email marketing is, let's just send them an email with some product recommendations or telling them about the specific sale and hope that they convert. And if not, we'll try again tomorrow. FIGS is really taking a different approach in this, right? You have, although they are still pushing products to an extent, you do have maybe reasons why you should buy FIGS, a little bit more about the company, like a quick quiz, something a little different than just product recommendations. From a customer perspective, how do you think this affects a potential customer's view of FIGS and the brand compared to just trying to force products down their throats constantly?
Right. So, I mean, obviously there's still a call to action in these situations, yeah. and we're still trying to get a customer to come to the site, but it definitely becomes a little bit more tactical here, and it's a lot less driven towards come here, click and buy. And so there's a nurturing component of this that just fosters that, okay, these people obviously are trying to get me to buy, but at the same time, they're just kind of telling me a little bit about their product. So that's why in these stages, like when we're looking at we'll look at revenue generated from the stage, or we'll look at the click-through rates, but if the open rates are there and they're high, we like that people are seeing these emails. We really try not to duplicate these emails in people's email flows. Like, we don't want someone to get, over inundated with the same email over and over. So that's a big thing for us. So we're constantly updating and changing the look and feel of these, so that way it always feels like fresh content. But at the at the end, it's like, if you think of it as a two-step process, we're getting people to engage with this, not necessarily come to our website, and then that very next email that they get from us, it could be a little bit more product focused, and we're looking to get people to come to the website a little bit more frequently from those second or third emails getting sent to them.
So yeah, and I think that's really great. One of the questions I hear a lot is, well, how do you come up with like the creative inspiration for building an email? Let's take, for example, this pant quiz email. It's something that I've never seen done by any other e-commerce brand. How do you come up with these types of ideas to be a little more unique and not just so product focused all the time?
Right. So our between our loyalty and retention team, our brand team, and our design team, we just have a phenomenal team. Shout out to the team. But from the brand side of things, like, I think that our brand voice is very unique and succinct. We know what we want to communicate. And so that's where this kind of comes from. From our side, from the growth and acquisition side, the directive is always like, hey, I want to sell more pants. How can we do that? But I don't want it to be like super salesy. What are you going to do for me? And then like this beautiful quiz comes out of it. And it's fun, and we have a women's version of this that's fun as well. But what we like to do, and it's a little trite to say, but we like to think outside the box. So we're just really delivering content that we would like to see, stuff that would be fun for us. If we're always like, this is what these guys are doing, and we do keep tabs on everybody's email marketing campaigns. I'm subscribed to, my inbox is just full of everybody, and there's beautiful campaigns being run by a lot of different companies out there. So we know what an aesthetic is and a feel that we want, but at the same time, we also know as marketers or as human beings, we know what we would like to see, and we know that we don't want to be sold to all the time. So we just really try to curate content that we love as much as our customers should love.
Yeah, definitely. So to kind of just wrap up, this last topic of engaging with dormant customers, it seems like FIGS really, or at least you, Alex, you seem like now it's no longer just trying to burn and churn all of your customers that are coming through. You really want to nurture some of these users back into your brand. Tell us a little bit just about wrapping up how these dormant customers and re-engaging them has been useful for FIGS.
Sure. I mean, I think to anybody's benefit, the more customers you retain, it strengthens your brand. So our retention rates are extremely strong, and they're consistently going up on a month-over-month basis. So if you're winning back a customer who's dormant, that already owns something that you're positioning to sell to them, and they're re-engaging and they're coming back to purchase, I mean, that makes them that much more evangelical about your brand. That makes them that more likely to purchase again. If a person purchases once and disappears, you might never see them again. If they purchase 2 times, it's like, oh, this is my brand now. 3 times, it's like, oh, I work for FIGS. So it's like it's really important to like keep your customers re-engaged and really drive them towards future sales. I know some businesses, it's hard to get a repeat customer. But in the line of business that we're in, repeat customers is so valuable. And I think that there's a ton of brands that repeat customers, everybody wants their customers to continuously come back.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So to kind of wrap up most of all the 3 topics that we talked about today, today we kind of went through being able to collect quality customer data and how FIGS utilizes all of that, personalizing the customer's experience and journey through the FIGS lifecycle or their purchasing lifecycle with any sort of e-commerce brand, and being able to also nurture a lot of these people that do fall out of dormancy, right? You capture these people, they should be good with the brand for about a year or half a year or so, and then fall into dormancy. How do we kind of win back those customers? Anything else that you kind of want to add on top of the things that we went through today?
Yeah, I just, to reinforce, I think that really melding your brand messaging and really having that come through your emails is huge. And bringing that together with an intent to push towards the conversion is always going to be a lot more successful than just pushing towards acquisition or just pushing towards brand. So it's it's a dual way of thinking, and just thinking about bringing those together and everything that you're doing and every experience that you're pushing out there. And it'll just be a win for you guys. So
yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of the things that FIGS has been doing in the last year or so, we have seen tremendous results from that. We're seeing for FIGS, at least on the email side of things, just 200% year-over-year growth. Conversion rates are also up. Your order volume is up. Your engagement rates on your emails are up. So it looks like everything that has kind of that you've done in the last year culminates into just a lot of successes when it comes to the email side of things.
Yeah, I guess the data kind of speaks for itself. I think we're really continuously trying to get better at this, and our loyalty and retention team does a fantastic job at this, and is really KPI driven on optimization. And yeah, we're here to win.
Yeah, definitely. So one final question before we kick it off into the kind of QA process. One of the things with you that I know is you're never going to be satisfied with the results that you have. You're always striving for a little bit more. What are some of the things that FIGS is working on today? Already having a lot of these personalization, all of these data coming in. What's next for FIGS, I guess?
I mean, like, we're continuing to establish just a really direct communication with our customer. We've gotten to a point where we're extremely comfortable with asking for stuff like birthday and gender. So an evolution of that is asking more stuff about them. We do occupational data, but just really getting to know our customer on a better level, so that way we can communicate to them in a way that they want to get communicated to. So we're really evolving what our what I said earlier, our zero-party data really looks like, and that evolution is going to be super integral to the success of our future email marketing campaigns. It's definitely going to dive into a place where we become extremely granular. There's a risk in over segmenting, so it's making sure your audience sizes are still tangible, but at the same time communicating to customers in a way that they want to be communicated is 100% of the goal. We don't want people to unsubscribe. We want people to find value in every form of marketing communication that we put out there. So as we evolve our email and everything else that we do, whether it's SMS or Facebook Messenger or just our direct ads or just our brand communications, we just really strive towards hitting them with the most relevant content, hands down.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thanks for kind of answering all of our questions here, or kind of going through this webinar here today, Alex. I'm going to pass it back to Michael here, because it seems like we do have a couple questions from our viewers.
All right. Thanks to our speakers, Wei and Alex, for the information today. And we hope you all got something from that to capture more customers. Also, feel free to contact us if you have any questions on these topics, or if you want to know a little bit more. I'll have that contact info in our last slide. But for now, let's get this Q&A going. Let's see. Our first question here is, can you tell me the main advantage of using automation is? I feel like we may miss a number of customers if we don't create segments or workflows ourselves.
Cool. So I think that what stands out about the way Retention Science kind of manages their pipeline and doing email marketing a lot in the past is that we're not creating an arbitrary drip flow. If a user opens this and does this, then we're going to send them this. And if they do this, then we're going to send them this. I think what we strive to do and what Retention Science does a good job for us with is that everything's data driven. And so it puts it in a position where it's like a user interacted with this product, send them this email. A user hasn't been here for 30 days, send them this email. A user is a male, do this. And a user hasn't done anything for the last year, what do you want to do? And so I think that like that system of automation built into the drip flow just creates higher conversion rates and just more yield, because it's not arbitrary. It's not like choose your own adventure. It's like the data is going to choose the adventure for you. And you know, in some places in life, you don't want that to be the thing, but in regards to an email drip campaign, it only makes sense that that's a general direction to go in.
Okay, thanks, Alex. Next question is, what type of segments have been the most powerful and how do you choose them?
Sure. I think part of it's like really knowing your business. You know, on a high level, gender is such a big thing for us. You know, you don't want to be marketing women's scrubs to men and men's scrubs to women, and so that's just a huge thing for us. I think if you want like the deep dive stuff, I think LTV for us really establishes what a high value customer looks like, and so building in particular messaging for those customers is a strong place to start. AOV of customers is really interesting too. If you're really trying to push towards higher value customers there, like that's always a great segment. And then for us, colors and types of products are very big. So you know, we have various types of pants, like wide leg, joggers, standard, slim fit. Knowing that a customer purchases particularly only the skinnier styles, for example, really puts us in a place where we can market any new release to them that's really tied to that type of style. In other areas of the drip flow, they'll still see some of the other content, and when they come to our website, they'll see the other content, so we're okay with that. But at the same time, we do feel that product-specific segmentation has been a strong win for us. Geo. We use geo a lot for particular scenarios. Last year, we did a sample sale in West LA, and we used the state of California to really drive a huge amount of traffic to our sample sale. And we saw you know, lines of like 3 or 4 hours outside the door for 3 days in a row. This year, we're kind of doing something very similarly and having extremely similar results. We also had a pop-up store in Melrose last year in West Hollywood, and we used email to really galvanize the local community, and brought geo into place. Geo is something that we don't use often, but when we need to utilize it, it works extremely well.
All right. Next question we have here is, what are the most appropriate, effective methods of collecting more personalized data from customers?
Appropriate?
Yeah.
Appropriate. I like that, Thomas. You know, from a legal standpoint, obviously, you know, the terms and conditions and like being very transparent about what you're collecting about a person. I would suggest that you collect information that's semi-softball-ish, meaning that it's like a slow pitch, like a lob, if you will. You know, we tend to ask safe questions, and then as the customer becomes more engaged with the brand, kind of open up what that looks like. For us in particular, we ask occupation when you sign up. And that's one of these things where our community loves sharing about the fantastic work that they're doing. And so we feel like that's a question that people don't mind sharing with us. You know, so just obviously it's tough when it's like, hey, what's your credit score? So using some generalized common sense, but I think you know, stuff like gender, stuff like birthday, those are really easy things to ask of people, and people don't mind sharing. And like I said, don't make that stuff required fields, because if someone doesn't want to share it with you, that's fine. You still want their email address so you can effectively market to them in some extent. But yeah, I think I hope that answers your question. But yeah, that's definitely kind of the general direction that we lean towards.
Something that I actually want to add on here and ask you as well, Alex, is what are your thoughts on like a full page quiz versus just asking 1 or 2 quick questions at the email sign up part?
Well, so I think that this brings to light like how integral it is to test stuff. I mean, you know, there might be some audiences that really engage with the full page quiz. I mean, if I was signing up to answer 25 questions and then submitting my email, that's not an ideal situation. But, you know, if it's like 4 or 5 questions versus all the questions on one page and there's only 2 questions there, that's totally worth an A/B test, and really determining what your KPIs are, like determining whether or not, if the long form where we're collecting 10 extra points of data converts at 0.2 less than the short form that's only collecting 2 pieces of data, is it worth really pushing on that long form then? Because even though it's converting at a lesser rate, we're collecting way more data points and making these customers a lot more relevant. So really kind of pinpointing what you want to execute on, what you want to get out of it, and then making a determination on the results. So you know, I don't advocate asking 85 questions, but I think that the other thing is, you know, you can ask your customers later on in their life cycle to tell us a little bit about themselves. And so I think that, you know, that's definitely an okay position to be in.
Okay. Okay, great. We have time for one more question here, and the last one is, what did FIGS do to stand out, break out in its niche market?
See, that's a softball question for a survey. No, I'm just joking. That's a great question. I think what we've always been, our core mission is really to serve those who serve others. You know, our community are medical professionals, and they do things that are beyond what we as a workwear company do on a daily basis. You know, they're saving lives, they're changing the world on a daily basis. And so what we've really focused on is bringing the community to the forefront, focusing on them, whether it's like our influencer community, or whether it's just our general population. We're just really geared towards that. And so and we're really passionate about the work that we do and the work that they do. And so we think that everything that we put out there is an embodiment of this. And you know, I think the internal voice and the external voice, if you come to our offices, you'll see that everybody's really on the same page on what we want to put out there as a brand, who we are as a brand, and why we love our brand. And so, you know, letting that passion really emerge through everything that we deliver as a whole to the world is the unifying factor that's kind of put us in a place of success. You know, if we were driven towards only one thing, and I'm not criticizing making money at all, because, you know, we're all in business. But if we're really focused on that, then that kind of seeps into your overall messaging, and then the heart gets lost. And customers are extremely savvy. People are savvy. They can really sense, you know, even if they don't pick up on it directly, indirectly, subconsciously, they can pick up on the feel that, oh, these people are just trying to get me to buy a lot of stuff. And so we, you know, I think that internal messaging that we have on our side as a company really comes out as we love our community, and we want to be a part of your community as much as possible, and we want you to be a part of ours. So I think that's like the big picture thing that we do, is really just letting our love kind of exude and be the primary thing that we bring to the forefront.
All right, great. Well, okay, I think that's all we have time for today. But thanks again for joining us today. And now you're officially ready to capture more customers using data and personalization.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for everyone coming. And if you guys need some more information, you can reach us here on our website or blog. You can go ahead and go to wearfigs.com, check out their stuff, really nice functional medical apparel. And yeah, please feel free to contact us if you have any more questions or if you need anything else.
Yeah, come check out wearfigs.com. Buy scrubs. If you click on an ad, click and convert. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, come check us out. I think that visually what we do is beautiful. Subscribe to our email list. You can kind of get a taste of what our drip flow looks like. You might eventually get segmented out if you don't convert. But yeah, check it out. And we have a bunch of cool stuff in our pipeline and cool events coming up in the future. So if you want to be a part of any of that, you know, or if you know other people in the medical space, let them know. Cool.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.